Ebro in the morning here, getting prepared for Justice or Else this weekend. Introduce yourselves to the people. You guys have been on the show. You guys are friends of the show, and I appreciate you coming back. Go ahead.
Ladies first.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carmen Perez. I'm the executive director of the Gathering for Justice and co-founder of Justice League NYC.
And you, sir?
I am my son Lennon. I am one of the Justice League members, New Bronx City owner, and hip-hop artist.
You're still a hip-hop artist, or you
Yes,
just
I
doing
am.
what you are?
I am an artist.
But you're writing for other people now.
I'm writing for me and other people.
Got it.
I got a project about to drop.
Very cool. Very cool.
It's an EP along with a documentary
And
movie.
a lot of the music, and we'll get to what's going on this weekend. A lot of music my son has always made has been about what's going on, right?
Pretty much.
Socially, whether it's what's going on in your life and the things you've overcome, as well as trying to give some insight.
Pretty
So
much.
the music that you're still going to put out falls in line with the Justice League.
It falls in
every-
line with just
everything
life,
going
real
on.
life. You understand what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just like what we deal with the conditions we dealing with, what leads to these situations, how we not getting justice. It's just a whole bunch of things. It's just educating. Because as a youth, I went through a lot. So there's a lot of these youth that's just been led astray, and
And not led at all.
Oh, exactly. So a lot of the music glorifies a life that I've lived, and I know that it ain't no glory in that. So I'm just trying to be the balance and giving you, it's the two people on your shoulder. I'm just trying to give you the other.
Yeah. Carmen, you are actively organizing, participating in what's going on this weekend in Washington, D.C., correct?
I am. So I was brought in by the Minister Farrakhan as well as Tamika Mallory, who is on the board of the Gathering for Justice, who couldn't join us today, and she is the executive director of the March to Justice. Justice or Else.
Justice or Else.
Yeah.
So this weekend, not only the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But also a gathering of a lot of people who have been very active since things have really heated up between communities and local police forces everywhere in the United States.
A lot of folks from the police brutality movement, Black Lives Matter movement, as well as indigenous communities, Asian Pacific Islander communities, Latino, Chicano communities are going to be there, have been welcomed, as well as poor white folks.
Are people are people really participating, or are people drawing a line and saying? I remember, Million Man March some time ago. I remember 20 years ago we were out there. People were out there. NAACP didn't come because they didn't want to support Farrakhan, and Farrakhan was kind of like that person that caused some polarization. We're not seeing that this time?
I mean, there's always going to be division in any type of situation like this. There's this group that doesn't support, oh, you said this, so I can't really do this. And we have a lot of different issues with those things. But then we have a lot of people that really support.
But how come we can't put all that, whether it be religious differences, whether it be political differences, aside for something that we all agree on as an issue? Everyone agrees that we have a police and the way they go about enforcing laws and dealing with people of color and even people in lower class, right? Because some of this is a class issue as well. We all agree that that's a problem, right?
It is a problem, and I think a lot of us do respect the Minister Farrakhan. We respect our elders. Justice League is going out there because we are demanding justice, right? So this isn't about the minister. This is about us. This is about our communities. This is about Baltimore. This is about Ferguson. This is about New York City, and not necessarily receiving the justice that we need for Eric Garner and his family. At the end of the day, people could talk about who, said what. I mean, we're not perfect leaders, right? We're human beings. And so sometimes we say things just according to our own experience. But we're going out there to demand justice. We're going to be there in solidarity with millions of people. It happened before. It's going to happen again.
So this weekend, if I want to come down, participate, just be out. I just walk up. I don't need a ticket. I don't need to register. I can just be at the mall on Washington and just be in D.C.
I mean, it would be wise to register at justiceorelse.com. There's a bunch of information what the demands are, so you could read up on it more. But yeah, you could show up as well.
Justice or Else as a title. What is the or else?
The or else is an economic withdrawal, right? It's demanding, but 20 years ago they were demanding for economic justice, and obviously we have seen in the Black community that hasn't necessarily been achieved, and so it's still that demand. But I know for us, we also have our own demands that we've been organizing around in New York City, and so we're going to take our own demands as well.
So do all of the groups participate in that, or else is a list of things that they want to see happen? There's justice, or we're going to do X, Y, Z. correct?
Pretty much. It's like what she just stated. The minister said it's a withdrawal. Like the first step we're actually doing is we're not shopping on Black Friday. We're not shopping on Christmas. Like these are things that some of us have made conscious decisions that, and if we do shop, we're going to shop into people that have businesses that support what we're doing, Black-owned businesses, brown-owned businesses that support what we're doing. We're taking our dollar out of the economy to show that this is our power. We're not about violence. We're not trying to hurt anybody. But we have to let you know that if you do not respect us, if we're not treated equally, we're not giving justice, then our money shouldn't matter.
Now, these attempts have been tried before, right? I believe last Black Friday with Black Lives Matter and a lot of things were happening. A lot of these, even like purchasing gas or doing things, people were using social media. Is anybody tracking this impact? Because, you know, I find it hard-pressed when these things go up, right? For those that did participate, is there someone that's able to get the information and say, look, we made an impact? Because sometimes we don't have access to that information, and if we're not able to share with people participating the impact that they had, it looks like nothing happened, right?
I mean, that's a great question. And I think what the minister and his team are doing is they are going to track that, as well as I'm sure some economists will be doing that as well. And I know even on May Day, right, every year on May Day, they talk about like withdrawing your money. And there is impact, I think, for this moment, this weekend, and the upcoming holiday season, is that we want a greater impact.
So it goes down in D.C. this weekend. I also, in this, I know, Carmen, you've enlightened me to moves that you're making with the state legislature, correct? And some policies that you're working on with regard to justice for young people. Can you, because I know that's a part of all of this movement as well, correct? Can you articulate some of the stuff you're working on?
Justice League, as well as other groups, are working on the Raise the Age campaign. We've talked previously about 16-year-olds immediately being tried as adults here in New York State and North Carolina. And
those are the last two states in the country where this happens.
Right. And I mean, you got Texas that tries 17-year-olds as adults. And so we're working to raise the age of criminal responsibility. We saw it with Khalif Broder, who was locked up for 3 years, did 2 years in solitary confinement. He allegedly had stolen a backpack. I mean, that shouldn't be happening in America, and it happens every single day. We charge 5-year-old kids with being unruly in the classroom. So basically, if your child is in school, you know, they should have been dealt with a counselor. They're no longer being dealt with counselors. It's being police officers that are handcuffing them, taking them to a jail, and exposing them to that type of trauma.
Them early.
Exactly. So we're also working on stopping the school-to-prison pipeline. We just achieved a special prosecutor for all cases involving police deaths.
The Attorney General called in to the show. He commended you guys, and the Attorney General, that's the right guy, right? What's his name?
Eric Schneiderman.
That guy.
Right.
He called in and was very open, and for people watching, listening right now, special prosecutor in instances like the Eric Garner case, instances where the state and the police might be at odds. They're going to bring in a special, or the city and the police might be at odds, because I know de Blasio was supportive of this as well. They're going to bring in a special prosecutor to try this case, because we're feeling like these prosecutors are compromised because they have allegiances with the police a lot of times, correct?
Pretty much. I mean, that's the gist of it. You know, we have, if an officer does the crime and then his best friend is the person who writes the report, and then his other friend is the person,
because they're always working together
exactly
anyway.
So at the end of the day, we need somebody who has nothing to do with it and is just looking at the facts of the situation to be able to preside over.
Cuomo was on board with this as well. I mean, I guess it kind of had to be, or not. We don't know.
I don't know exactly.
Carmen playing politics. She's up there. She's up there.
Yeah, she politics. Yeah,
so you see, she's being quiet. So she's still,
I mean, Carmen is a rebel, but at the end of the day, you know, she understands how to
play the game.
So, you know, she's better at it than me. I don't care. You know, I'm just going to say what it is. So you see she cut me over a couple of times. Let me say it, you know, because she know I'll just
and then she got quiet a couple times, too.
Yeah,
so she must be working on something.
Yeah, you know, so at the end of the day, it is what it is.
But we know it's all for the good. We
all
trust
for the
that
good.
Carmen's doing a good job for us.
Carmen is one of the greatest leaders, and I'm a man following a woman, and she's a great leader, and I follow her anywhere. So
there you go.
She's dope.
Justice League NYC. If I want to be a part of this, is it a membership thing? Do I sign up? Do I go to a site? Do I register? What do I, if I want to get active?
So we put on direct action trainings. We put meetings.
What is a direct action training? What is that?
It's basically what you see us doing out on the streets, protesting. Obviously, you see us protesting with a purpose. We have our 10 demands. We have 3 criminal justice reform bills that are on a federal level that we also marched with from New York City to D.C. We were on the show last time talking about our march, which 2 of those bills have been reintroduced. One has been reauthorized. So, our march was a success. We just need to now pass those bills. But people could come to our website, www.gatheringforjustice.org, sign up to our listserv, and then we could, invite you to our events. And we send out mail lists. We send out different things, inviting folks. We're going to have a gala coming up on November 9th, celebrating the 10-year anniversary of our umbrella organization, which is the Gathering for Justice that was founded by Harry Belafonte.
I saw my name on that list. I'm in the game. Yo, they put me in the game, guys.
You are on the host committee.
So I have responsibilities?
You do have responsibilities.
Do I have to put on a shirt? Like I got to iron a shirt?
Yeah.
Yep.
You might have to iron a shirt, beloved.
Iron a shirt?
Yes.
Hard bottoms?
Yeah.
For
That too,
sure.
for sure.
Wait, Harry Belafonte is going to be there?
Yes,
Definitely.
he is.
I'm
We're
ironing a shirt.
actually
I can iron a
honoring
shirt for
You
him.
got iron a shirt.
Yeah.
As you remember, Ebro, on the invite, we're honoring Harry Belafonte
Yes.
for his dedication to the civil rights
Ebro
movement.
could definitely
as
put
well
on a
as us.
shirt for that. I have a shirt. For
A
that.
shirt.
A shirt.
We're also honoring the Central Park Five, as you
Oh, okay.
know.
Respect, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then Alita Garcia, who is an immigration reform activist. So it's going to be a powerful evening. We're really excited about it, celebrating the last 10 years, but also looking forward to what the 10 years to come bring.
Transitioning. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Couple things I want to touch on there. One, the show Empire. Did you guys see the episode where they had kind of like a rally in the park and Shark did the first episode?
Yeah.
You saw that?
Yeah.
What'd you feel about that?
I mean, I appreciate it because Jesse Smollett is someone who's definitely been supporting the movement. He marched with us on March to Justice. He went and did Legislation Day when we went and sat down with a lot of these different Congress people. So, and I'm glad that they had some type of social something about what's going on in the prison system right now, because that's a very big subject that we're definitely on. We're changing policy on that also. So I appreciated it, actually.
Carmen, did you have a chance to check it out?
I have not.
You have not seen it. Got it. Yeah, I didn't like it.
Why?
I didn't like it. I think it kind of it lampooned what the hard work that people are doing. I feel like if they wanted to do the Black Lives Matter or even mass incarceration conversation, tying it into Lucius in some way, feel like it feels like it's making it fictitious. It's not making it real. And look, starting a conversation, I can see where you could be happy about that.
That's it.
Lampooning it though, I feel like we are too okay with crumbs sometimes. We are too okay. Like, well, at least they're having no, fam. No. Either have the conversation, right? Or just be Empire and just entertain. Don't try to entertain with something that's not entertaining. Mass incarceration is not funny to me, right?
So
like
I
it's not.
No, I didn't. But I didn't
can
find
I
it
just-
funny. Let her
Yeah.
say.
So, Ebro, so I see where you're coming from, but I think, some of us are enlightened, right? So we have a different consciousness. I think what they're trying to do, you got to reevaluate, or you got to evaluate who their audience is. And they're trying to meet people where they are.
No, man. People ain't stupid. People are lazy. The fact that people aren't stupid, man. People are not stupid. They're lazy. That's different.
You right.
For instance, I'm sure you guys are frustrated, and a lot of people who are very active in Ferguson are very frustrated, right? Gave their lives to go down to Ferguson to fight for something that they, and we all agree was important, right? And when the opportunity came for that local community to stand up and vote, what happened? People did not show up to vote. Not because they didn't know what was going on, because they were lazy. They didn't want to get up and go and do the work, right? That's frustrating for me, right? Maybe people going to disagree, fry me for it, whatever challenges people have, that was a challenge they have. But that doesn't mean that they're stupid. We're not stupid. We just don't give a fuck sometimes. And that's where I get frustrated.
I don't know. Because you know what? Like, I'll go home and I talk to my cousins or I talk to my friends who stayed in the hood, and they just don't know, and they don't really know. And I'm able to introduce it.
I think what happened is we become numb to these situations a lot. And people just think that you're supposed to go to jail. When you have the conversation with somebody who's never actually had any encounter with the prison system or being locked up for something, and they don't know the thing. They just like, people that go to jail are supposed to go to jail. They don't think that something is wrong. They don't think, oh, people went there by accident. Unless it actually is something that hits home, people don't think about that. So when you talk about mass incarceration, they just think, well, these are the people that did crime. They in jail. What's so bad for?
But within that, why are you tying it into Lucius? What the fuck that got to do with Lucius line?
It doesn't have anything to do with Lucius. But the fact that somebody talked about mass incarceration being an issue is somebody that might not have thought about it. It could say mass incarceration. What's that? And might have just looked it up. Maybe somebody said mass incarceration, what is that issue? What are they talking about? Maybe they looked it up and actually got the real nitty-gritty of it. Then there's some people that just looked at it as it was part of the show. And if it wasn't there, they still wouldn't talk about it anyway. So you never gonna get everybody. You can put the best message in the world in music, and somebody just gonna hear the beat. Some niggas just gonna hear the beat. It's probably 3 or 4 people that's gonna hear the actual things that Kendrick is talking about in a lot of his music.
Or take the time to do the work.
Exactly.
Because
So
they lazy.
Exactly. But that's the world. What are we gonna do about the world? We can't change everybody. We just got to grab the people that might want to be changed.
I think it's also our responsibility to go back into our communities. We're not necessarily, when you talk about mass incarceration, a lot of people don't know what that word is. It's a new word that's been introduced by Michelle Alexander in her book, The New Jim Crow. And so even when I was working in de-incarceration, or I was working in the field of criminal justice reform, we never used that word. That's a new word. And so I want us to like really think about not just implying that people are lazy, but really understanding that it takes a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of us who are in this field to go back into our communities and interpret that information.
So on the mass incarceration topic, because as we get closer to the presidential election, it will come up increasingly, right? That President Clinton, Bill Clinton, right, was one of the people who voted for some of those policies at that time. And during that time, if any of us remember, it was coming out of heavy crack, right? It's 1990, I forget the year it was voted, it was 93, 94, whatever it was. It was big crack, big gangs, big everything, right? It was crazy. And the mass incarceration, it started where they were just basically shaking down young people, right? One crime, boom, you're gone.
That's during the time where they began to describe young people as super predators, right?
Right, super predators. You had the 3 strikes and you're outlaw. You had all that stuff.
Deportations of all the gangs.
All that was going on. And that's really when you saw that mass incarceration, late 80s going into 90s. You also at that time had the prison industrial complex thing ramping up, where privately owned companies could now open up prisons because they didn't want to use taxpayer dollars. Well, they wanted to double dip, basically. They wanted to use taxpayer dollars to help build it and then have a private company come in and run it, and then they make money on it, and then it's on Wall Street, and then you could buy stock in it and the whole thing. So they were like, listen, if these people going to commit crimes and be in gangs, we're going to make money on them somehow. It's basically how I read it, right?
Right, and a lot of those companies were then paying off politicians, right? And getting them into,
Absolutely. And then throw in the fact that then when you, not only is it a privately run company that owns the prison industrial complex, but then when I get out, I got to pay fines too. So you double dipping on me. Not only I'm in there, you making money on me, but then when I get out, I got to pay back money.
You got to pay fines, you got to pay parole
and I ain't got
fees.
No job.
And I don't have a job, which is the Vice. Did you guys get a chance to see the Vice thing that came out a couple weeks ago when Obama goes in and talks to for the first time, a sitting president went and talked.
Yeah,
and they get into that stuff in there. The reason I bring that up is because I believe that we may hold Hillary Clinton, because I've heard rumblings of this dialogue, accountable for her husband voting on something in the 90s. Are you guys hearing these conversations just yet?
I mean, there are conversations and debates about it yesterday in our office. But I think what Hillary needs to do is she needs to come out on mass incarceration as well as the Black Lives Matter movement. And Elizabeth Warren just made a statement about it, which she got a bunch of praise about. But I think it really has to be Hillary Clinton.
She needs to start having some conversations.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that she's not vocal enough about a lot of the issues that are concerning our communities.
I would also say this too, and for those of you that love doing the research, go back and research and find out who actually voted for those policies while Bill Clinton was in office. And you will see a lot of people of color, Black and Hispanic, who voted for a lot of those policies. Because at the time, people were fed up. They didn't know how to control gangs, and they didn't know how to control crack. And so they started voting for things because they just wanted it gone, right? And a lot of these things came out of that we're dealing with today, right? So I just caution before you just go saying, oh, well, Hillary, your husband find out, because if there was a Republican sitting in that office at the same time, they would have voted for the same thing. Right? If Barack Obama would have been in the office at that time, because they wasn't, remember, that was C. Dolores Tucker time when they was burning rap CDs and they didn't want Tupac to have a voice, and all that was going on in the early 90s. So there was a lot going on at that time, and I just want to make sure that people go and do the research before they jump out and have that. Next conversation I want to have with y'all, Black Lives Matter. It doesn't seem, well, there's a couple things happening. A, you got the conservatives putting them on the hate group list. And then you have people within, or claim to be within the movement, who are having public differences. And we're kind of watching that thing fracture a little bit in ways that I don't think I want to see it happen so soon. Do you guys have any insight on that, or is that just, is that wannabes on social media claiming they're a part of a movement and making it look bad? Or
I think there's just differences I think there's a difference in understanding of what Black Lives Matter is. There's the movement, right? A lot of us that are working on the liberation of Black people are part of that movement, and then there's the Black Lives Matter organization. And I think there was just a disagreement. There's been several disagreements, but the one that I'm familiar with is one that was to take a meeting with Bernie Sanders. And there, so people were saying, well, he should meet with the organization, and other folks are like, well, we're part of the movement. So I think that's being played out. It shouldn't be played out publicly. Right. I agree. I think that's the way in which other people win, is by seeing a movement fractured. But there's a lot of great work happening state by state. There's a lot of young people that are doing wonderful work, and I don't want to undermine that work just because there are public debates happening on Twitter. That's just not necessarily necessary.
Very good. Good dialogue, guys.
Very good.
Appreciate when you guys come by.
Excellent.
Listen, Justice or Else is this weekend. I'm gonna be out there walking around, soaking up the scene. And if you have time to take your family out there, especially young men in your family who are under attack, a lot of times Black and brown. A lot of it is class, some of it is race. But going out there and soak up some of that positive energy, and people who are willing to put their personal lives aside and go join groups of other people who want to see our country get stronger and better.
I want to say one thing.
I also want to encourage our Latino brothers and sisters, our indigenous brothers and sisters, our white brothers and sisters, all our brothers and sisters to show up. This is an opportunity for us to stand in solidarity with one another and demand justice and show the world something different.
And I want to encourage all our artists, our entertainers, all our athletes who have fame, and this is the time for us right now to say something, to utilize that platform for something to better our communities and our future communities. So I think all of us, even if you can't be there, send a tweet out, send an Instagram flick, and tell someone else to be there, because we are the new leaders. People follow us. I'm not even on the scale that they are, and I know that these young kids in my community look up to me, and they follow
looking
what
for
I do.
somebody to talk to because they feel like they're under attack. And
exactly.
They don't have leaders.
So I think that we need to be vocal about this, because if you don't say nothing about your pain, then they think you like it.
There you go. Gems, my song Gems.
Yeah, he just dropped some gems.